Hello, everyone. I know this is a bit of a strange one, but admittedly, I don't speak Korean, so I couldn't really do commentary on a lot of the info that was happening in the stream. All I could really go on is, the pics being shown off and like some of the demonstrations and like all this and that. So, um, sadly, because of circumstances, I couldn't actually get to the stream before like I saw the highlight reel. So like I didn't get to like fresh react to everything. But in this, I just would like to go over, skim through, and then like um, give my thoughts on things that I'm excited for, and things I'm really looking forward to as well. So starting off, I mean, I think they have been doing a very good job with spacing out the updates and content drops, despite all the things that have been going on, like Walpurgisnacht, Mirror Dungeon, Season 4, all that jazz. I'll be skipping around quite a bit, though. Um, Even though they say that they've been taking too long and stagnated and stuff, I mean, I think no matter what, the quality that they put out is way above everything else nearby in the genre, to be honest, in my opinion. I just love Project Moon. Uh, and I do agree that putting out content in the batches versus in bulk will probably be easier for the studio and also be easier for the player base to have more content more readily available than like, having to rely on stuff being drip fed and having to wait, months and months and months for big releases, even though I don't personally have an issue with that because I just play other games. If I run out of content in Limbus, I do my weekly mirror dungeon, I do my thread daily, like, and then I just play whatever else I want. Which right now, if you didn't know, based on what I'm talking, um, the the release of Zenless Zone Zero, which I've been really loving and enjoying, really great. You should play it; it's awesome. And then also, of course, keeping up with Star Rail. I mean, we're going to be having a content update hitting the 30th in like a couple days here, so it's been really busy, all things considered. So it's actually nice to have the games kind of in a lull, for me at least. So that's not been too bad. Because even though I only really cover Limbus content primarily, it's not the only game that I play, and I could possibly, bring in more content from other games into my repertoire. But like, I just don't know. I mean, I could do fun things here and there, like kit reveals and trailer reactions, stuff like that. But I am definitely not the best at Star Rail. My builds are definitely not the best. I just feel like my content would not be as engaging as some of the other content creators who have access to like the entire rosters and make builds and understand how the artifact system works down to a T and can like do all the theory crafting stuff. I can't really add too much onto that because I'm terrible at it in Star Rail. But something I just wanted to offer up as a possibility in the near future. Oh, like we said here, the content stuff. We had the live stream that day, which was yesterday. Um, Moving on to the next big thing, though, we have the teaser. So let me just speed through here. I love how this live stream's like a little scuffed and like, modest, but it's actually just really endearing and I love it. But yeah, I think we all been very hyped about the freaking warp train stuff. Like, it's all just so crazy, and like, I'm still not even sure what I'm looking at sometimes. I mean, it's clear to see the Dimension Shredder and some of the other IDs they show off in a little bit, but like, I have no idea how the story is going to shake up. I mean, it's going to be great. Also, it's coming August 8th, so super excited. Look forward to it. I know I will be just so ready to jam and clown, and it'll be great. Looks like we're getting another member of the villain team as well in Corp, based on the coloration. But besides that, we have two new IDs and or three new two new IDs. One that's 3-star, one that's 2-star. I actually don't know what these are, because they look similar to things I've seen. Like, they look similar to some of, like, the sweeper stuff. They look similar to, like, a little bit of notes of, like, the machine stuff, the Iron Brotherhood stuff, a little bit, like, but these look completely unique. I would assume these are a completely unique of, like, a new faction or a new part of the storyline that we haven't been privy to before. So really cool to see. In this live stream, they throw around, like, completely original new designs, and I just think they're incredible. Like, look at these animations. These giant freaking throwing weapons that they have attached to their backs, like, just looks incredible. And then instead of, I thought this was an interesting decision. Instead of a story mirror dungeon, they're just going to be adding a floor theme pack to the existing mirror dungeon, which, honestly, I don't think is all that bad. Like, for the story mirror dungeon, all you were really doing was running it over and over and over again to farm out materials for the event, but, like, I mean, if you could just get all the event currency just by doing mirror dungeons, I mean, it would be preferable for me. Because I don't really like, because I would literally just AFK farm, like, win rate through the dungeon and then play the boss fight and then just do that, like, 6-7 times in a row every couple of days just to, you know, farm up the event currency. So if they change that, like, up a bit, I would be happy about it. There's going to be event-based chain battles. If you guys don't remember from the most recent railway of, hey, if someone gets killed, the IDs in the order that you select them immediately come in and just, you can just keep going. So you technically can use your entire roster of sinners on the fights. So that's really dope. And yeah, no, huge change. Moving towards making chain battles as the default battle format. Because, you know, let's be honest here. If you're in a fight and someone dies and the fight is not, like, over, it's pretty much a reset. Like, the amount of action economy and power that you lose with just one sinner dying is astronomical. Way too much. Way too much. So, having it be so that, as it says, sinner deaths are more acceptable losses, instead of just re-roll over and over again until you win the clashes on the first couple rounds. Like, I think it's a good step in the right direction, especially when, you know, we have team comps that are, you know, you're running your whole team comps, and you're not really sticking too far outside of them. Like, it's less hodgepodgey than it was at the beginning of the game's history. But, you know, there's still things where, you know, even if I'm running my Blade lineage, part of me is just like, oh man, what if I could just tech in, like, DC Rodian or DC Honglu just to have, like, a tank to, like, back them up and relieve some pressure, or just get a bit of blunt damage in here, a bit of pierce damage. Like, I know it's not exactly that per se, but just that, yeah, the idea of getting to use the whole roster, and also that, yes, a death is not the end of the fight, I think is a really good step in the right direction. I think it's a really good idea. I'm interested to see how it plays out with the balancing of the fights, if they'll get really tougher, but, you know, we'll see. And like they're saying, yeah, more opportunity to use identities and ego. And yes, another one. If you're going into fights, like, resetting if you lose a single clash, you're never going to see the big attacks actually go off, because you'll just win the clashes. And if you don't win the clashes, you're just going to, like, you know, runs over. So maybe you can actually let a sinner or two get hit by a really strong attack and not have to reset. And you can see the pretty animation despite, you know, about to be just murdered. So it's interesting. I like the idea of it. Again, we'll have to see how it plays out. Oh, look at this. People said I was coping. People said that I was frickin' coping. I am not coping. I have always been completely faithful. I have always had faith in the belief that Earl King Heathcliff would come. And even if it's not exactly Earl, it's Earl King. Shut up. It's Earl King. Wild Hunt, it's Earl King. Look at it. Look at it. I was never coping. I was right. I was right the whole time. I knew people were like, oh, but it can't be that Heathcliff because he was erased from all the worlds just like Catherine. Nah. Nah. Look at him. Look at him. Look at his sword. He's getting the frickin' Dullahan, which is a little strange because the Dullahan is typically referred to as the rider of, as the headless rider of the horse. But I believe more that they're just saying like the horse's like name or title is Dullahan. Not that they're mixing up the myth. I know based on what Project Moon does, I doubt they would like make a misstep like that in their research. But yes, there's going to be a mounted and a dismounted thing. Super cool, amazing. I can't wait for the animations. The gimmick of him is reviving allies, which, hey, with this new system of chain battles, is insanely strong, or at least presumably insanely strong. And then, this was interesting. They mentioned a counter skill that works similar to Ruina, which is really interesting, because if you don't remember, the way that Ruina worked is that counter skills would activate if anything attacked you. If you were going to attack something else, you could also target them, of course, like you can here. And then also the fact that they could be used to clash. Now that's something we don't have here. Those are the earlier parts we do have. Yes, that part we don't, because if you remember, to claim your bones would clash with things and win, and your counters would clash with things, and like that's why counters in the late game were so insanely powerful, and you basically had to run counters on like all your dice because so many attacks were happening, and if you had a counter that beats something in a clash, it would get reused. So as an example, of course, the biggest example, part of the reason why the red mist is so insanely powerful, especially in a solo environment, is because she gets tons of powerful counter dice. And if your opponent is using a like a three dice attack page on them, and she's gonna beat those clashes because she has like plus 20 power, she's gonna hit them for 20 to 30 3 times because the counter dice gets reused. And even if once the clash gets reused, and just bam, 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 staggered. And like you could stagger half the board of enemies, and you haven't even taken your turn yet. Like you haven't even done your cards. So what I'm imagining is Earl King Heathcliff is going to be able to put on a counter skill, and things are not going to have to hit him first and then he hits them back, because that's the biggest weakness of counter, is you need to get hit first. And if you get hit and you get staggered, or you get hit and it applies sinking, it kind of really screws with the counter you're doing back to them, or it could be like just completely awful. I do think counter is slightly better than the defense, but now with how powerful they're making the shield defense skill, I think counter is now really starting to like show its age and like show its weakness of just, yeah, no, you basically can only use this when your character is completely safe and can take the hit without getting staggered, or else you're just done for. You may as well just ego at that point. So that's just my assumption. It'll be interesting to see. Obviously, I don't know the details exactly because Korean, but I'm sure we'll understand more in the coming weeks. But look at these animations. The horse, the frickin' the coffin looks so good. I am so excited for this ID. Coming with the warp stuff. We have a new Walpurgisnacht. The Noon of Violets. That name very familiar to people who play Lobotomy. I am terrible at Lobotomy Corp, so I just watch people play it. Don't frickin' judge me. But yeah, we have the frickin' Noon of Violet. Should be really fun. A lot of that stuff was matching elemental or damage types, matching damage types. I mean, so I'm interested to see how that'll pan out with the event. But the new stuff we're getting, look at that! They are freaking hitting us with these fan favorites. Solemn Lament, Funeral to Butterflies, every iteration it is. I love it. It's the frickin' best. I can still perfectly hear in my head the frickin' ding, ding, ding noise from library of, oh yeah, I'm gonna just play Yasad and I'm gonna roll Solemn Lament and then I just win the entire game because there's almost nothing that can stop a fully built Yasad floor with a Solemn Lament hypercarry. Like, there's almost nothing in the game that can withstand it. And yeah, no, it's just that crazy. And besides that, like, even without it being, like, bonkers crazy OP, Funeral of the Butterflies is just one of the coolest designed, iconic abnormalities. The whole butterfly face, the coffin, and then just the suit and the guns and just all this. I mean, this looks like... I mean, people have to brighten up the image for me. I mean, it looks a bit like Otis. I could also see, like, Sinclair. Because, like, not too many characters have this kind of short hair, but, like, whoever's getting it, I don't really care. It could be Yisang, too. I don't really care who's getting it. I'm just super excited for Funeral of the Butterflies. Blah. Next thing, clearly, as you can see, we're getting Ryoshu as well. More with the Spider Bud, which is interesting because she has 2 egos already that are Spider Bud themed, and now we're getting an ID of it, and it's like, man, they're really trying to push the Spider Bud stuff. Like, they're really pushing it. So maybe the ID will be able to synergize with the egos, or it might just do its own thing. Who knows? It's very cool, though. Yeah, we're getting the two 3-star IDs, and then 2 announcers, probably another Seraph, and maybe something from maybe an NPC from library or something, we'll see, and then an ego. Yeah, we don't know what the ego is. Yeah, very exciting. The Divyot Association is also a new one. Look at these frickin' guys. Look at these frickin' trench coats. These frickin' boombox weapons. I know it's not a boombox, but, like, look at it. Look how cool this is. Reminds me of that girl from library who has the guitar case from the Dawn office. Has the frickin' crazy stuff going on with that with the attacks. Like, I love these guys. And also they're in the north, so the hip penguins, and it's adorable. But just, these designs, so cool. I'm so excited to see what this, you know, association brings. Bygone Days is apparently the ego coming with it. And, like, what their whole gimmick is. I just love it. I love expanding the lore, expanding the designs. Like, Project Moon is just my favorite. They're just my favorite. I can't hide it. So, very exciting stuff. Next we have SWI Association West. And I gotta say, look at these frickin' designs. Look at these knights. Look at these knight designs. SWI has never looked better. And, like, yeah, there's still a callback to the other SWI Association IDs, but, like, they're also very distinct on their own. Like, the colors are there. I'm sure they'll have a defense focus still, and, like, you have the patch here and all this and that, but, like, look at this gear. Still having a collar and tie despite being in, like, knight armor. It's just great. Love the looks. Looks great. They're going to be defense-based still, as far as I'm aware. Really good stuff. Really good stuff. We're getting improved UI. Very nice. I think that's great. Yeah. more visible obtained rewards, more banner stuff, can toggle between the old and new UI. I always appreciate it when they let us do that. I think that's great. I still really I love the TV aesthetic here, but it also is nice to be able to see all of your titles and all the stuff that you've earned and done railways for. And this is a fun one. A free selectable season 1 ID and growth items. Like, basically, we've actually been in the game long enough to where we're having returning player and new player bonus stuff going on. Like, I just think that's great. I'm really happy to see Project Moon flourishing. I mean, I know they're not like Hoyo levels, but look, they'll make a limbillion dollars, guys. We're making limbillions of dollars with Wild Hunt Heathcliff, I promise. But yeah, no, I'm happy to see them flourish. I'm happy to see them doing well, and it just makes me very happy. Just in general, look at all this big stuff. Look at all this stuff, and then here we go. Kanto 7. Dream ending. Don Quixote, this cool looking evil guy. I am so ready. Like, because Don Quixote is one of those characters that, like, they bring the lighthearted tone to a game that otherwise can be very, like, tragic and sorrowful and very down in a lot of ways. Don Quixote helps lighten that mood, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with Don Quixote in a position where she is having to confront probably, like, traumatic things with her past and, like, things like that. And that will be coming in October. So 2 months away, basically. But man, I am so hyped. We have so much stuff coming in the next few months here. Oh, we're eating good. I don't think there'll be any problems at all. That's just all. I am so hyped. I could not be more excited for all of these new things. Wild Hunt Heathcliff is, of course, the big ticket one. But, of course, the Warp Train stuff, probably getting more charge IDs. Walpurgisnacht is always a great time. Getting the new Funeral of the Butterflies IDs will be really cool, and seeing how they shake up the meta, what they'll be, and yeah, no, everything is just great. I just could not be happier. Besides that, we have a little bit more general stuff. Getting XP tickets or thread from mirror dungeons in addition to crates is just a really nice thing to have. Because, I mean, early on, yeah, thread is important, but man, the XP grind is real. And for people at, like, my level as well, it's like, I don't mean to sound like, rich being richer thing, but, like, I'm actually, like, really good on thread. Like, I have a couple thousand of it because I just farm the dailies every day and I don't splurge on every ID that comes out or ego. So actually, like, I would sometimes, like, I do think I would prefer to get XP instead of thread from doing the mirror dungeons, especially if you got a substantial amount, just to level up the character so I don't have to spend all my time in the XP mines. So it's really cool. And, like, yeah, they're hoping to add more weekly and monthly content to bring more game modes, essentially, for using IDs and teams outside of mirror dungeon, which I totally agree with. Because despite, like, despite what can be said of, like, also the VTuber stuff, despite what can be said about, you can use any team you want. The egos are so insanely powerful that the ego gifts are so insanely powerful that you don't need to, like, bring in a meta team to clear hard mode mirror dungeon. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when you're in a situation where all you're wanting to do is get your clear, I just want my hard mode clear for the week. I'm not trying to do anything fancy, and I don't want to risk possibly losing a run because I'm trying to do something fun, as bad as that sounds. So for me, it's like, I always run my Blade lineage. I run my blade lineage every week to get my clear. Is it the most efficient way to do it? No, but like I know they can clear reliably. There's very little time. I've never had a situation where my full blade lineage team has been unable to clear the mirror dungeon hard mode. And for me, that's what's important. So that's what I do. And then afterwards, I do like, you know, I can do burn, I can do sinking, I do all the fun stuff there. But for the most part, I just want my clear. And I think a lot of players are also in that more casual space where they just want their clear. So being able to go, okay, Mirror Dungeon Hard is for the meta teams, and then, hey, let's have some other modes where we get to play around and have fun with other team comps, I think is amazing. I think it's really great for the game. Coming from another game, if you're not familiar with Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, it's a hero collecting team building game on mobile and Star Wars themed. But in the way that game works is that you have activities that are actually relegated to certain teams. So there are activities called assault battles where you're going through waves of enemies and you clear all the way to the end and then you get your rewards. But they only allow certain teams, usually just 2. So putting something like that in Limbus, imagine if there's an activity that was like, okay, you have to do this big gauntlet of enemies and a boss, and your only teams you can use are W Corp and Blade Lineage, for example. This one you can only do N Corp and Burn IDs or Liu IDs. And like in that way, it gives you a reason to broaden your roster to not just taking the most powerful options of those teams and then making a hodgepodge. Like it gives you a reward for investing in things like N-Corp. Because as we all know, outside of Faust and Sinclair, none of the other N-Corp IDs matter. I know they're the N-Corp stands. I know that you have them up type 4, you have them maxed. They do good work with the nails and everything, and you destroy Railway and Mirror Dungeon Hard. I get that. I really do, and I am happy that that works for you. For me, there was no reason to touch those other IDs. I will never build N-Corp Rhodian, Heathcliff, Don Quixote. I will never build them because they are just not worth it for me. I can just do Sinclair and Faust and I could just roll, and that's as much N-Corp as I need. And I would like to use those IDs. Like, I would love to use that full team. It would be really cool. Except they're just not great for the most part. So I think, like, in a way, like, you know, you can also make the argument of, oh, well, you're forcing people to build characters they don't want to, and, like, that's not good either. And, like, I understand that. But for me, I think there is more value in bringing people out of their comfort zone and having them try different teams and at least up tie 3. That's not too big of a barrier, I think, for most players that have been playing for more than a couple of months. Up tie 4 is a bit of a stretch. I would maybe reserve that only for like a really, really, really hard mode level of those activities, and they better give out good rewards like yellow crates and thread or what have you. But yeah, no, for me, I would love a assault battle style of game mode of, yeah, no, I want to use my full warp team. I want to use all 6 warp. That's really cool. I get to have all my W Corp guys going ham. I get to, there's an N-Corp this week. Well, I don't really have my N-Corp IDs up. Let's up tie 3 them. Let's get them to like level 30 or 40 or something. Let's do it, because I want to get those rewards, but I also want to see how that team performs. Chi Association. Chi Association is dead in the water. I don't care what anybody says. Until they get something transformative, those IDs are freaking dead. Outside of like certain solo challenge runs on bosses, she has no presence in this game. Like, bring those in, you know? What if there's one that's like only Walpurgis Nacht IDs? That's super cool. Yes, that is very limiting and like kind of pay to win in a way, because they're very difficult to get your hands on. especially as a new player. So maybe not that, but like, you know what I mean. Just incentivize people to just, incentivize people to branch out and incentivize just other play styles and, wanting to experience teams that you would never have touched otherwise. And that's pretty much all I have here for today. There's nothing too crazy substantial. They talk a little bit more about the company culture, about what their plans with Comic-Con. They want to do more streams, which is really great. Do love to see that. Love the community engagement. Really fun. Have already gotten my 1300, gotten my free 10 pool. Thank you very much, Project Moon. And yeah, that's all I have for the live stream. Hope you enjoyed this kind of rambly theorizing and reaction video. Maybe in the future, I might do some more fun things. Maybe I'll dip into a little bit of Star Rail. Maybe I'll dip in here and there on other things. We'll see. But till then, thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate you, and as always, your support means everything to me. I will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.